Why, hello there. Welcome to Smart and Safe, Protecting Yourself Against Fraud. I am delighted to have you here today. Please come in and get comfortable. We have a great webinar for you. We have one of our beloved, most favorite people in the whole world speaking today from Patelco. So it is going to be a fantastic webinar. I want to personally thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come and make sure that you're protecting yourself from financial fraud. So effective cybersecurity is not a product, but a process. Jim Langen said that. And so we're going to have a robust webinar tonight. I wanted to remind you that this is going to be recorded and you will receive a link for this recording very shortly. So sit back and relax. You don't have to take copious notes. I wanted to remind you to please use the chat to support each other, because the importance of community cannot be overstated. As human beings, we don't grow and we don't thrive and we don't learn alone. We do it in community. So make sure you say hi to your community. And again, welcome for coming here. So I always tell you what the national day is. And today is National Take a Chance Day. What is that one thing you've been thinking about, but you haven't done yet? Go ahead, take a chance. It's your day. Oh, it is also German Beer Day. So if you like to try German beer, today's the day. And it is also National Picnic Day. Such a beautiful day in the Bay Area. That would have been fun. I also wanted to make you aware of the next two webinars that we have coming up for you. On May the 14th, we have the amazing Andrew Farrell talking about the psychology of spending. He is such a great presenter, and it will absolutely increase your financial capacity to hear his wonderful webinar. And then again, on May the 28th, we're going to hammer this home. We've got a fraud prevention for elders, know, prevent, and protect. So that's what's coming up in May. So we're really excited to start our next webinars. So again, our Patelco promise. Our promise is to help you manage effectively day to day, to be resilient when those hiccups happen, to seize opportunities so that you understand and you're increasing your financial capacity, and then rise up aspirationally to living your best financial life. And also, go Warriors! Go Warriors! So my name is Veronica Dangerfield. I am your senior financial well-being educator, and I'm also humbly the 2025 Financial Educator of the Year. Yes, thank you. Bringing you the best that I got. And I am so delighted to have Jennifer Mink here. She is the director of the Member Experience and Financial Wellbeing. And between the two of us, half a century of experience. So welcome, Jennifer. Come on down, girl.
Oh, Veronica, it's so good to be here with you. It's been a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jennifer is, she has been with the credit union so long. I think right out of middle school, she started working for us.
Exactly. Yes.
Is that true?
Right out of middle school, right to Patelco.
Right out of the middle school. But as you can see, America's under attack. Fraud is a widespread problem with millions of Americans experience it annually, resulting in billions of dollars in losses. Consumer Report indicates that fraud losses are increasing, with consumers losing over $12.5 billion in 2024 alone. A significant portion of the fraud involves investment scams and imposter scams. So we're going to talk a little bit about all the different types of scams that we have. As you can see, the youngsters are not getting away. They're 3 times as likely to have fraud happen to them as the baby boomers. So it is prevalent and it is insidious. Don't you love that word? It's just insidious. There is no way you can get around it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So there's all types of identity theft. And I wanted to take an opportunity to let you know exactly what types they have. The first one is phishing. It's a malicious technique used by cyber criminals to gather sensitive information. And then there's spear phishing. Spear phishing aims to extract sensitive data from a victim using a very specific and personalized message. I think that might be like grandparents when they call and tell grandparents that their grandchild is gone and they're getting ready to, and they need money right away. There's Welling. Now, Welling goes after high-profile, famous, and wealthy targets, such as celebrities. And then there's also the CEO fraud. Remember a couple of months ago, Jennifer, we had the CEO fraud?
We did. That was so crazy, Veronica. We, as team members, started getting texts from an unknown number, basically saying that our CEO was requesting us to do a financial transaction. And it was wild. I've never seen anything like it. And it is prevalent, though, and it does happen. So even us at Patelco can be victims to these types of scams.
Girl, I have stories for you too.
So do I.
And then there's identity theft, where they target personal information such as name, addresses, and emails, and credit card information to take money from you. There's the lottery fee scams. You feel like you won the lottery, they send you a notification, but your prize won't be anything from a tropical vacation. You have to pay to get your prize. So then there's online shopping fraud and work at home scams, stolen cards, and invoice frauds. So as you can see, it covers the entire breadth, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened to me. I am a professional. I work for a financial institution, but I was in a hurry. You should never do anything when you're in a hurry. And I got a call from this person, and this person told me there was somebody in Chicago using my card to buy Apple cards. And he was from my credit union, and on my phone, it said it was from my credit union. He told me that the card that I had, he had the number to my debit card. So I knew that it was the credit union calling me. And there was this tiny, tiny voice saying, "Girl, you better hang up, but I didn't. He even told me he was going to cancel my card. Did I want it sent to my house, or did I want to go to the branch to pick it up? And because I was in a rush, he sent me the number and he wanted me to give it back to him. And I did, because I was in a rush. 2 hours later, there was no money in my account. Jen, he even asked what my balance was, because he wanted to make sure that he did a fraud report in case somebody took any of my money. But when I told him the balance, that's the exact increment that he took it out of my account.
That's crazy. Yeah, and they're so convincing and they're so good at what they do that unless you're on high alert all the time, Veronica, it's very easy to fall for these sophisticated scams. I myself have fallen for one. So don't anybody ever feel bad if it happens to you, because it happens to all of us.
And then he had the nerve, another person called with the very same scam. You know what I told him, Jennifer? I
What'd you
told
say?
him that his mother would be mortified that he was going around stealing from people.
I love it.
It was not good, but anyway. So romance scams. Do you have any romance scam stories for us, Jen?
Oh my gosh, do I have romance scam stories? It's very unfortunate that these scammers know how to pull at our heartstrings and get us emotionally involved when it comes to scams. Romance scams are very prevalent. I would say more prevalent as you age. 65 plus are particularly vulnerable to these types of scams. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? They may have lost a spouse. They may be isolated. Their kids have grown up. They've left the house. They're kind of by themselves, right? So there's an isolation there. And we do have a story, an unfortunate story, but we did end up having a great end to this story, so I'll share it. We had a member when I was in a former role at Patelco who had reached out to us to do a wire transfer. And the wire transfers were, there was a velocity of them. They started very low, 300, then they went up to 5,000, then they increased to 10,000. And finally, as this wire scam was occurring, people started raising the red flags with this member because the behavior was out of the ordinary for what she would typically do. And the branch knew her very well. And so they started asking questions. And that's when she started sharing that she had met somebody on Words with Friends. And if you guys have ever played that on your phone, it's a game on your phone where it's kind of like Scrabble. And someone had reached out to her on that app and began a relationship with her. And she had lost her husband. And so she was isolated, no family. All that she really had was a few friends. And so she established a relationship with this gentleman, and he had convinced her that he was retired military, that he was in another country, that he had no access to his bank account in the United States. And through building a relationship with her and establishing an emotional connection, convinced her that if she could just send him money to get back to the United States, they could be together and get married. And because of the state that she was in, having lost her husband recently, having nobody around her and being in total isolation and being lonely, she fell for the scam, hook, line, and sinker, unfortunately. Fortunately for her, and what Patelco is here for, we saw the warning signs as the velocity of these wires continued to increase and the dollar amounts began to increase. We started asking questions. I actually was consulted. I do a lot of consulting in elder abuse here at Patelco. And I got into a conversation with this member. And I will tell you, it took me days to break down what was happening to her and to get her to see what was happening. There are so many emotions that are involved in this, so many feelings. And it's very hard to get somebody to understand that somebody, a bad actor, is out there, and it probably wasn't even a man. It could have been a woman who was perpetrating the scam, right? Getting her to believe that this was not real, that her feelings, although genuine, were not going to result in a relationship. Thankfully for her, we took quick enough steps that we were able to recover most of the money, and we were able to educate her going forward on what to look for when it came to romance scams. Because unfortunately, sometimes when you fall for a scam, the word gets out on the street and they come for you in droves. So you have to be on high alert all the time. But that was one of the saddest stories I dealt with at Patelco, Veronica, was helping her through that situation, and really the fallout that came from her realizing that this person that she had truly fallen in love with was not a real person, and everything she had been told was a lie. And so my heart went out to her. I did spend time with her over the phone to kind of helping her get things back together with her account, and just being an emotional support for her, because it was very difficult.
Wow. Well, they're very good, because I actually know what the technique is. They call it in the cyberspace world, fattening up the pig. So what they do is the scammers, they get your identity, they guise it as a potential relationship, and they call it fattening up the person. So they get the phony profiles, usually on dating sites. And if you're on a dating site, they immediately want to get you off of it to go to WhatsApp so that they can isolate you. And then they figure out if you have any money. And then they slowly start taking every single penny that you have. And what I am afraid of is that not only is this financially hard, it's emotionally a wreck for many people. So it's so funny, because once I had my fraud, my daughter looked at me and she says, "Never ever answer the phone." If you don't know who was on the other side, just do not answer the phone. And I want to tell people that to listen to their intuition, because my intuition was whispering the entire time, "Hang up, this isn't good." But I actually thought that this person on the phone was protecting me. So that is why I think it's so important to stay in community, to talk to people, to let them know, because through community is the only way we're going to be able to defend ourselves against bad actors. Would you agree, Jennifer?
I agree. And I'll share really quick a scam that I fell for. And I do this for a living. And I probably about 5 years ago had placed an order for my daughter's birthday. And I had placed it at a local restaurant, and I had ordered food to be catered for her birthday. I placed the order online, and of course put my credit card information in. The next day, which was the day before I was supposed to pick up the order, I got a call. And same thing as you, Veronica. I was in a rush. I was at work. I was in the middle of something. I picked up the call, not recognizing the number. And the person on the other line told me that they were from this establishment and that they needed to verify my credit card information again because the charge was not going through. And of course, I was in a rush, pulled out my wallet, read off the account number or the card number, expiration date, the 3-digit security code on the back, gave it to them. And luckily, I did have account alerts set up on my account with Patelco, and all of a sudden started seeing hotel charges coming up. And I thought, that is so strange. So of course, first thing I do is call my husband. What are you doing? Are we going somewhere that I don't know about? He had no idea what I was talking about. Come to find out, it was scammers that had somehow intercepted that online order and had gotten my contact information and wanted to steal my credit card information. And they did. And it was a couple of $100s worth of hotel charges before I immediately realized what was going on and blocked my card. But it's simple as that, Veronica. I think you hit the nail on the head. When we are in a rush or we're not thinking clearly at that moment, we're getting the call or something's distracting us, it is the prime time for them to strike. And they struck with you and they struck with me. And if it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody. And I'll tell you, this Veronica's story and my story are just two of many stories that I know about of people that do these sorts of things for a living and have fallen for scams. So nobody is alone in this. It's an equal opportunity situation.
It's equal opportunity. And even so the thing is that if you don't know who's calling you, let it go to voicemail.
I agree. Never pick up a call that you don't know.
They're professional. Make sure that you have strong passwords, and you don't have the same one. Make your password so long that it exhausts you to put it in. You know what I mean? You have to take your vitamins before you put your password in because they're so long. Because the longer they are, the better it is for your protection. Make it a story about your kid. Like I said, the longer, the better. Make it your favorite song. You are the sunshine of my life. But that's going to help you. Watch where you click. Don't overshare personal information. I know I love Facebook. I love my friends. So I did change my birthday, but I know my real birthday is somewhere out there floating around. So it's just the tiny things that you do that's going to make you successful in the long run.
And Veronica, actually, you mentioned Facebook, and something that some of us, I'm not going to age myself, but Gen X love to do is answer little surveys on Facebook. One of the ones that is out there is like, what was your favorite movie when you were in middle school? Or what was your favorite teacher's name? I don't know if you all know this, but these are common tactics by scammers to get information about you. They are using social to data mine information about you. They're going to your profile. They're seeing what you've answered on Facebook. I learned a long time ago, don't ever answer those little quizzes on Facebook. I love that you said you didn't put your exact birthday. That's another thing. You've got to be really careful when you're out there on the internet. All of that stuff is out there for people to see. And so just be very careful, because there are tactics out there on Facebook. Don't engage with posts unless you're really comfortable with what you're going to be sharing out there, and you would share that with a scammer.
And the games. I love these little silly games that they put on. I mean, you can take hours in them, but they're in your phone, they're in your system, and it's just so easy for us to get infected with the viruses. The orders from all of us are doing online ordering now.
Yep.
Now we have to make sure that has the lock at the top, so that you're not going to unsecured sites. The phishing is just so sophisticated now.
It is.
Did I tell you I had one of my girlfriends call me to ask me for money, and it was a audio of her, and it was her voice, but it wasn't her.
It's crazy how AI is changing the fraud territory. Bad actors can create realistic fake profiles, emails, and like you said, even voices, which is super scary because you cannot tell the difference. So even if your best friend or your child calls and says something, hang up the phone and verify it. You have to verify it, because they are getting so sophisticated and creative, and it's really scary.
Well, she's typically not a person that would ask me for money.
Right.
So I actually had her phone number, and I called her, and she didn't know anything about it.
Yep.
So,
response.
If something, be very suspicious. If it smells like a rat and it looks like a rat, it probably is a rat.
A big fat rat. And I actually read an article today, which I think is absolutely sobering. And I want to just share a couple of things from that article that I read today. Was from ABC News. And I know you shared some statistics at the beginning, Veronica, but this one really, I fell out of my chair when I read that in 2024 alone, over $1 trillion worldwide was lost to scammers. And they reported that seniors, which is 65 plus, in the US lost 4.8 billion in 2024. And that's just so crazy. And the same article says that in total, people in the US lost 16.6 billion, which they said was a 33% increase from 2023 to 2024. And this is all released from the FBI. So this is real information, guys. This is real stuff. And then I was reading further in the article, and it shared that the FBI receives an average of 836,000 reports each year of cyber fraud, with an average loss of 20,000. So this is really, it's a money-making business for these scammers. And it just goes to show that they're coming for us, and we've got to be ready.
So Jen, what do you think is the number one bad habit that people use with their credit cards that makes them more exposed to getting fraud?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably the worst habit that, and I'm guilty of this too, is into machines. And there's a couple of things that come to mind, but where we see a lot of fraud happening is dipping it into a machine, and there could be a device that the scammers or the fraudsters have inserted into that machine that will actually read your card information. There's now devices that scammers can literally walk past you and put the device up to your wallet or your purse, and they can gain credit card information. Using a credit card online is sometimes high risk, as you saw with the food that I ordered with that restaurant. And you'd mentioned the lock on the website, but nothing is foolproof, right? If they're going to get it, they're going to get it. One thing I was going to say about that too is that learning from that experience, I decided that I was going to get a very low limit credit card to use specifically for online purchases, because I went using my debit card to my checking account and having that situation happen to me where I started seeing hotel charges. I decided then and there I was not going to use my primary account as a way to purchase online. So I got a credit card, very low balance or credit limit, I think is like 1,000. And that's what I use for online purchases, just to make sure that if it is compromised, it's not going to get into the money that I need to feed my kids or pay my mortgage.
That is really smart.
Yeah. And using the tap feature is really a good way. If you go to the gas stations, use the tap feature versus dipping it into the card reader. Even in ATMs, it's a high risk, right? So when you're going to an ATM to make a withdrawal with your debit or credit card, look at that card dip. Does it look like it's been tampered with? Does anything look weird? Jiggle it, feel it before you put your card in. Because although we have measures to kind of keep an eye on those things, and we mostly know if our ATMs have been tampered with, as this technology advances, so does our detection. We need our detection to advance with it, right? And we're always sometimes a step behind. And so, yeah, those are the biggest risks, I think, for me that I've seen.
So the list of bad habits, according to this website, is using the same credit cards for auto pay and everyday spending, using the same password for more than one online account, storing your credit card info in your browse or your website.
Yes, super dangerous.
Using public Wi-Fi connections. You don't even think about that. I don't even think of that in terms of security, but that's really high risk. And then using a free VPN. Those are the unsafe credit card habits. So again, you should use a few different credit cards, put alerts on them, and check them more than your social media accounts.
Agreed. And not only checking your credit cards, but I am one of those people who checks my accounts several times a day. I have accounts everywhere, right? Something that I do is member experience. I like to see other experiences and what values I can bring to the Patelco members that other banks or credit unions might be doing. So I have a lot of accounts out there. And I have a habit of checking in the morning, checking in the afternoon, maybe sometimes before I go to bed. And it is a really good habit to get into, because you do have a short period of time where you can actually dispute transactions that are fraudulent. So you need to be vigilant, and you need to be logging in 3 times a day. I'll admit is probably a little excessive, but at least 1 time a day. And if you're not able to do that, set up account alerts. Put account alerts on your account through online banking. I just particularly have anytime I receive a direct deposit, anytime a withdrawal happens on my account. I also have account alerts on my debit and credit card. So if the credit card is swiped, I get a notification instantly with a credit and debit card that a charge has been charged. I follow my husband around when he does that by having account alerts. And, having those account alerts is really important. If your balance falls below a certain amount, if there's, changing your phone number or your email address or online banking information can be a red flag to potential account takeover.
Do you have your accounts frozen, your credit frozen?
I do actually. I do, only because years ago it didn't end up being identity theft, but I had a scare. And ever since then, I do lock my credit. I have enough credit cards to last me the rest of my life. I don't need to apply for anything. I've got cars, my home, my credit cards. I don't need credit. So I do lock it. Although if you do need credit, it's fairly easy to unlock, but it honestly is the best practice to lock your credit report.
And the thing is, you're walking around and you're not using your credit. It should be frozen. Yep. You can freeze it by going to the Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. It takes minutes.
Right. They communicate with each other. So you only have to do it with one, and they do it to all of them.
Absolutely. And the good news is, if you need to use it again, you just unfreeze it.
Yep.
And it protects you from data breaches. It protects you. Because it limits access for the bad guys. It's another barrier of protection for you. And especially if you're going to travel, you can also lock up your accounts. So I froze all of mine, and I went on vacation to Belize. And when I was there was somebody that was going all over Capital One applying for credit in my name. But since I had my credit on lock, they had to contact me to make sure that it was actually me applying, and it wasn't. So you guys, because of the data breach and because all of our information most likely is hanging out in the dark web, make sure that you lock up your credit. Then you don't have to worry about being victimized by identity theft. Yep. Identity theft is the worst because it destroys your history, and you have to be the one, unless you have one of those services to clean it up. So an ounce of prevention is what worth a pound of cure.
Pound of cure. Exactly.
So I went to a conference the other day, and this guy was talking about how vulnerable the Wi-Fi system is in my house. I never even thought about it. Some people can come, they can hack into your Wi-Fi system, and then they could change they can have access to all the stuff that you have with your Wi-Fi. I don't know a lot about this, but I want everybody to be able to keep their Wi-Fi protected. You can shut your Wi-Fi down when you're not at home. That might be a good idea. You can change your username and password frequently so that you don't get victimized. You can also turn on encryption, and also you can hide your network view. So just remember that every part of our lives are wired. And so it might be worth it for us to think a little bit about what we need to protect, not only ourselves, but the places where we have access.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, Jen, I know you have young children at home. How do you protect them for internet safety?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I have going on an almost 13-year-old now. And some of the key strategies that I have found really work for him specifically, just because he's kind of at that age, is I've started to talk about scams, right? Because now he has a phone. His brother also has a phone. And I have taught them that if they get a text, come and show it to me. If it's not from one of your friends or it's not from mom and dad, I need to see what it is. And they actually, I think we saw this in your presentation, the toll scam that's going around right now, saying you've got to toll the violation and you've got a penalty and a payment that you need to make. And my 11 and 12-year-old are getting these texts, right? So I've really taken the time to sit down and educate them about the scams, how to identify them. They also play in the Fortnites and the Minecrafts and
Oh,
all of these crazy games that, you know, I played Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers. So I am really aging myself on a Nintendo.
Pac-Man.
Or the Atari. We didn't have the ability to communicate and engage with people online, right? And that is just such a scary thing. And I really sat down with both of them and said, do not share personal information. Don't share where you live. Somebody asks where you go to school, you do not tell them. So safe online practices. Using parental controls, that's been a huge thing too, to monitor their online activity. And then, you know, really fostering a habit of questioning. So when they see something that doesn't quite feel right, like you mentioned earlier, that inside voice, that gut instinct, it's probably right. And I really need you to come to me and talk to me about it. And then, of course, as parents, both of their parents, of course, work in the financial industry. So we lead by example. We model that safe behavior and we talk about things with them constantly. I think for everybody, the biggest defense that we have to preventing fraud is really educating yourself and knowing what is happening out there.
Yes, and being alert and understanding that we are humans and we're going to make mistakes, and the mistakes that we have should not be. We should not be isolated about them. We shouldn't feel shame about them. We have to come and support each other. This is definitely a community challenge, and I would like to advise all of our members that Patelco's here to help you. And we're going to actually talk about, Emily and Jen are going to talk about all the ways that Patelco has set up a system to support our members, starting with our fraud center. We have a fraud department. We have trusted contacts. And what Jen has been talking about all night, account alerts and updates. Yep. We have a fraud pamphlet, and we also have support through Checking Plus. So the Fraud Center, it helps you learn how to avoid the latest scams. It keeps your account safe, and you can get help from Patelco. This is actually a page out of our patelco.org website. We have a whole center there. It has all kinds of great information, easy to read and easy to find. Have you been to our fraud center, Jennifer, lately?
I helped build our fraud center.
Oh,
not the technical part of it, but I'm always on the lookout. Like I mentioned, I have accounts in a lot of different places just because I'm always looking to bring the next best thing to Patelco for our members. But I also am out there constantly scouring articles, which I shared earlier, things that we can bring not only to our team internally, but to our fraud center, which our marketing team has done an absolutely, amazing job with our fraud center. It is so robust, and the amount of resources that are there will blow your mind. So yes, please, if you haven't checked out our fraud center, all you have to do is go to patelco.org, and then in the search bar, just type fraud center and it will bring it up. There's articles, there's things that, you know, you can say, am I a victim of fraud? You can, so many resources that you can use there to just kind of validate or invalidate whether you feel like you've been scammed or defrauded.
And trusted contacts. We are so proud that Jennifer actually started this program 2 to 3 years ago to protect our most vulnerable and honorable population from to allow the families to support them. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Jen?
This is my favorite topic, is trusted contact. And this may be foreign to a lot of people, but I'm going to break it down for you so you understand. And I hope everybody on this webinar takes the time after we hang up to go to online banking and sign up, put a trusted contact on your account. So this is something I am so proud of Patelco for doing. I don't know if you know this, Veronica, but Patelco is one of the first credit unions in the United States to implement a trusted contact program. This is not a requirement by law, but with Patelco's mission being supporting our members' financial well-being, and with the scams and different types of frauds that are evolving and becoming more sophisticated, we knew it was time to add this program for our members to protect them and their financial well-being. So what is a trusted contact? This term, like I said, may be new for some of you, but a trusted contact is a person or persons that you designate to be contacted by Patelco in the event of certain situations occurring. So let me go over what those may be. I will preface this by saying a trusted contact will not be having access to your account. They can't see how much money you have. They can't look at transactions. Patelco will not be sharing personal information with them. So feel secure in the fact that this person is just there to support you in 4 different situations, really. So one of the first things that a trusted contact can do is, let's just say we have a situation where we need to get a hold of you. We've left you multiple voicemails. We're not hearing back from you. And when you're in the branch, and I spent probably 22 years in branches, you get to know your members and you know when there's a cause for concern. So you leave a member a voicemail, they don't return the call. You're looking at the account, you're not really seeing transactions. We can actually use a trusted contact in that situation to call the person that you have put on your account as somebody that you trust. And we can call that person and say, hey, you know, we're trying to get a hold of Brenda and she is not answering her voicemails. She's not returning our calls. We're really worried about her. We want to find out, do we have the right contact information for her? Has something changed? Can you confirm that she's okay? So that's one situation where we would use a trusted contact. We also can use a trusted contact in emergency situations. So this is one that I always use as an example because it did happen to me once. I was a branch manager in our Citrus Heights office, and a member was doing a transaction and she literally passed out on the floor. Imagine my surprise when she fainted. And this situation happens quite often, actually, where members come in and they fall ill. And so in that situation, of course, we helped her. We got medical calls. She was okay. We learned from her that she was having some dizziness issues that she was seeing her doctor for, and that's why she had fainted. So in this situation, if she had had a trusted contact, we could have reached out to them to get that critical information in that type of emergency. You know, Brenda, I'll use that name again, is in our branch and just passed out. Is there anything I need to know about her? We're getting medical, you know, en route, but can you give me an information that might be able to help her or the paramedics when they get here? So that's another situation we would use a trusted contact. The third situation is really to support in times of fraud or scams. So a trusted contact can help Patelco to detect and prevent fraud. So if there's suspicious activity on your account and you can't be reached, we can reach out to that trusted contact just to verify the situation. And again, very high level. We're not going to get into details about it. We're not going to say, you know, oh, 500 cleared from CVS. Is this a normal transaction? We're just going to get some information that's going to help us to verify that situation. And then the fourth situation, which is actually one of my favorites, and one of the reasons I really want a trusted contact to come to Patelco, is to support our 65 plus aging member population. And this trusted contact program can really make a difference for these members. And I know this is a really sensitive situation to talk about, but I think it's important to call out, especially for those of us that have aging parents. You know, my parents are aging, my husband's parents are aging. And if we go back to that FBI data that I shared earlier, we know that with age comes you being highly targeted and more vulnerable to scams. And why is that, right? Because we know that our aging population has that wealth, right? They've worked their entire lives. They've saved, they've got retirement, they've got Social Security coming in. And so with that, paired with potentially having some cognitive issues, it really makes us more susceptible to the scams and financial missteps that may happen. So in this situation, a trusted contact can help really keep an eye out for unusual activity and allows Patelco to step in to safeguard your assets. And Veronica, we have so many success stories with trusted contact in scams with our 65 plus member population. It has been a game changer. We have been able to save members millions of dollars with this program.
I just think it's awesome because it's definitely needed, that level of protection. My children are, one of them lives here now, but if something happened to me and nobody could reach me, it would be nice to make sure that somebody I know who loves me, who's looking out for me,
Right.
that I'm not alone. So I just think it's a great program, and as many people can know about it as possible, because we're here to protect each other and support each other in community. I always go back to that because community is everything, especially now.
I agree 100%.
Fantastic. So you talked about account alerts. I think you said account alerts about 70 times.
I know. We could just skip this slide, right?
Yeah, but at Patelco, you can set up account alerts and you can get a text message or you can get an email when I like to have it for the good and the bad. The good is when I get paid, I like to get a text. It feels like I love you from my Patelco. And otherwise, and it also allows me to know what's going on with my account. Had I had the account alerts after I talked to the bad guy, I would have known immediately that he cleared out my savings account. Yep. You know, but since I didn't. So if you're a member, make sure that you use this amazing benefit. And also we have, you have to be worried and you have to be suspicious. I feel like it's so insidious that all of us are going to be victimized by scams, but we can control the amount by getting educated, staying in community, and forgiving ourselves when we make a mistake, so that we can actually come back from it. What do you think, Jen?
I agree. You know, there's a couple of cool new features that Patelco just recently, well, one of them recently rolled out. One of them has been a couple of years new now. But we have a cool new feature, and this really helps with what we were talking about earlier, where people can use AI to utilize voices and make it sound like it's you or maybe somebody else. But our member contact center has something called voice authentication. And I don't know if you've had the pleasure to hear about this, Veronica, but it's brand new. And we are now able to authenticate your identity through natural conversation when you call us. So you do have to enroll in this feature. Make sure that your contact information is updated with us. But when you get a chance, if you call into our contact center, enroll, and it will authenticate you with your voice. So the different inflections you have in your voice, your emotions in your voice, it will bring you through this process to authenticate you. So it's really cool. Again, you do have to be wary and suspicious. And I think one of the things that Patelco has really done right is create a fraud experience team in our member contact center.
Yes, right.
Which is phenomenal. So if you have experienced fraud or scam, you have questions whether something's legit or not. So you get a text or a call from Patelco and you're like, was that really Patelco? Because we have spoofing and people will spoof numbers. Patelco, the IRS, they can spoof anybody. You can contact this fraud experience team directly and they can support you. So I'm going to put the number out there. It's 1-800-358-8228. And then you just extension 5323. And this team is highly skilled and trained to support you. So all things fraud and scam, utilize us. Before you act, just pause and give us a call.
Perfect. And I also have the Checking Plus, and the Checking Plus also has a protection. So they send me emails if my information is floating in the dark web. So it's another layer of protection. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have barriers put in front of the bad guys. The multi-factor authentication, really cool. Avoid clicking on unverified links. We have an amazing fraud pamphlet. I know that they have them in the branches, but it's a really good guidebook. If you don't have it, you can send us an email. It's free, yeah, and it's at if you email Patelco, no, webinars at patelco.org. We can see if we can send you a PDF of it, but it's an amazing resource. So we have the fraud center, we have the contact, we have putting alerts on your account. You can make sure you don't pick up the phone if you don't know who it is. And if anybody asks you for money that you do not know and you have no relationship with, do not send anybody any money.
Yep. And do not use Zelle unless it's somebody you know. We do see, and it's throughout all financial institutions, Zelle is a big one. That's a vehicle that's used to commit fraud. Only use Zelle if you are sending to somebody that you know. If it's to purchase something from a stranger or somebody's requesting money through Zelle, do not do it.
That's a really good point, because you will never get your money back, will you?
Correct.
You will never get your money back. So we have a few minutes now to actually answer some questions. Let's stop the share and see if, do we have any questions? Let me see.
I do see a question in the chat regarding trusted contacts. So the question was, how would we know it's really Patelco contacting us? I was told banks and credit unions do not call for information. Or should I say Patelco calls a trusted contact? How will they know it's really Patelco? Valid point. We do also encourage, if we do call you, because we will call you, we're not going to ask for information that we should have. So like your social security number, your card number, your passwords, things like that. But we always tell people, if you're not sure that it's us, hang up and call us back. Call our contact center, say this person just called me. They'll put you back in contact with the person that called. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Perfect. It says, we're seeing if there's any questions. We talked a little bit about, Christy said that if you have an iPhone, there's a setting where you can forward all unknown calls to voicemail or silence them. It's really helpful, but a few times she missed some important phone calls.
Yeah.
You know, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Well, one question just popped in. A member asked, and maybe you can speak on this a little more in detail, about using like your bank account routing number and like checking account number or the full account information to set up auto pay through various utility companies.
It's always a risk, right?
Yes.
And I'll answer that. You know, that's kind of how we pay, right? It's either through bill pay or directly on the biller's website. There's always a risk when you input a routing number and account number. Honestly, though, so is writing a check. When you hand a check over to somebody, it has that same account information on there. And so there is a risk. And that's why I would say that, you know, again, checking your account at least daily, putting the account alerts. Nothing is foolproof, but you know, having account alerts in place and checking your account to make sure that nothing suspicious is going on is going to be a best practice. Unfortunately, we're in the digital age, right, where things can be taken, including routing numbers and checking account numbers and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a risk, but a risk we unfortunately have to take to pay our bills.
Yeah, I make sure that I have all of my credit cards, the front and back, in a separate place. So if I ever lose my wallet, I can immediately call my creditors to close down my account. So it's always a good idea to have it somewhere safe in your house. So the minute that you know, you can give them a call so that you can remain safe.
And there's some great comments in the chat too. Using a checking account with a minimal balance for auto pay, absolutely. Same thing I do with online purchasing, using a credit card with a low credit limit to purchase online.
Yeah. So someone asked about how do you know if an email is if it's a good one or not. If I don't know you, it's not a good email.
Yeah.
So, it just, some of it, you're going to have to take a little bit of a chance. But if I don't recognize the email and it asks me to click on anything, I do not do it. Clicking on attachments have destroyed many, many major corporations, because you don't know that malware gets in there and all of a sudden your whole system is infected. So it's really not worth it.
Yeah, and I do see emails that, like, I've been getting these weird ones from Netflix in my personal email saying like my credit card has been declined, and you can look at where the email is coming from, and if it's not coming from what seems like a Netflix account or whatever it is that you're expecting it to come from, that's usually a warning sign, right? You can call the company if it's, if you're wanting to engage with this email, call to verify the validity. But like Veronica said, whatever you do, if you're not sure, do not click on any links. It's almost always bad. So just don't click on anything.
I would piggyback off that also and say I do a lot of shopping with like Amazon. And sometimes I'll get scam emails that will not be at Amazon.com, but they'll be at AmazonReturns.com or at AmazonShop.com. Those large corporations like that will have kind of set email addresses that they send you those email contacts from. So if it's never what you would actually recognize as their domain or as their website name, that's also a big red flag as well.
Yep. Yeah, and if there's misspellings in the email or just broken English, we get, I've had some phishing emails come and the words don't go together correctly. It sounds like someone's writing in another language or not understanding the English language. That's another red flag.
And somebody just announced that you can take your credit card and you can block it until you know where it is. Because since my memory is a memory, sometimes I cannot find what did I do with that card. I can go on, I can lock it up, and then when I find it, it's all right.
That's right.
Yes. So Jen, you did an amazing job. You are so knowledgeable, and you're such a passionate advocate that we truly appreciate the time that you spent with us this evening. And Andrew, thank you so much for manning the chat. You're always so gracious. And thank you, members, for coming. We love you. We appreciate you. We honor you. And we are going to do our very best to take care of you. So everybody have one fantastic night. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. Want more financial advice? Make sure you watch the video here. And want to hit that subscribe button for more financial deliciousness? Hit that button here.